Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. And we are getting dangerously close to fantasy football season actually starting. Obviously, we're just entering the heat of draft season, I would say. This weekend will certainly be the top drafted days overall. So if you have any questions, definitely drop them in chat. We're just here talking about fantasy football. Yesterday, all the teams made their roster cuts. There were trades. There were people getting dropped, picked up, all of the above. So we will be going over some of the biggest headlines for fantasy football news today. Yeah, Luke, what do you got?
It's big sports night other than fantasy football tonight.
How?
Tyler Hansbrough is being inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame.
I mean, Psycho T. I love him. He's one of my favorites. So
Surely deserves it. The greatest college basketball player I've ever seen. In all honesty.
I love his hustle.
Yeah.
I love his hustle.
Most double-doubles in ACC history.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think
kinda
most free throws,
surprising.
too.
I mean, mostly because ACC guys don't stick around. So
That's fair.
Those are pussies. They couldn't handle Tyler Hansbrough.
Yeah, they had to get the fuck out of there because
Right.
Tyler Hansbrough was in the paint.
They knew what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
So,
Back to football.
Yeah, back to football. Let's talk some football. We'll go over some of the top headlines. But before we do that, we have to talk about the Fantasy Football Draft Kit, which dropped on Monday. Go to the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. If you are watching on YouTube right now, I'll actually drop it in the chat. You can join
used
right
it
there.
in my 18-man guillotine league. That was my number one source. And
Man, how'd it go?
Came away with Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Breece Hall, first 4 rounds.
I mean, it's hard to argue that.
Yep.
It's hard to argue that.
yeah, I mean, my dad, one of the worst fantasy players I've ever known, finally did some research, used our draft kit. He won the league last year. It doesn't make me too happy because that means I lost the league, and that looks pretty bad seeing I helped make that draft kit, but
It
feel
makes
like
me happy.
succeed.
Yeah, there you go. You think Johnny Appleseed was pissed every time he saw somebody eat an apple? No. I mean, that would defeat that would be a bitter man. If
Right.
When was the last time anybody said Johnny Appleseed's name in your lifetime? It's been a long time for me.
Hey, that's what we
Decades.
do around here. I mean, I live in Johnny Appleseed country out here.
Right.
Like Crescent, Minnesota is just around the corner. I feel like there's something dedicated to him there.
I feel like,
I'm probably
yeah,
wrong.
like Trevor, you bring up, like, I haven't heard Johnny Appleseed in a while. Like, our fantasy football account tweeted out, like, I wonder what Javon Ringer's doing right now. I feel like I solely live in fantasy football from 2009.
Who is Javon Ringer?
He's the Titans' backup running back out of Michigan State.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right?
Javon Ringer?
Yeah.
No, it was somebody else. Who was it?
Oh, you're Bishop Sankey. Sorry.
Bishop Sankey.
Yeah, sorry. Same player.
True. That's true. But yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I believe there's a link in the description of this video for the draft kit. It's just a Google Drive link, or you can go to flurrysports.org. There's a link to it there as well. It's in the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. And with this draft kit, like I said, it's completely free, so you might as well download it or print it off and see what's what. But we have rankings in there. On the rankings, they're split up into tiers to help you draft there as well. There's also a nice spot where you can make notes. You can write down your drafted roster, keep track of bye weeks. There's a strength of schedule for every position. There's a depth chart for the teams. There's a bye week cheat sheet. There's vacant carries that show value, overworked running backs. There's quality starts for every team, which is also boom bust. There's all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of numbers, and it's certainly something to look at, especially because it's free.
Yep.
No investment. You're
Yep.
welcome. All we ask that you do is give the podcast a follow subscribe if that is relevant to where you are, and rate it 5 stars if you're listening to the podcast. That's all we want. We don't need your money. Just give us your dedication and your obedience, your dedication to the show.
I mean, you know how easy it is to click a button, 5 stars, and then just leave?
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening, just see how easy it is. It's not that bad. I promise.
My favorite
it's hard to do 4 stars. Don't even try.
Yeah. Then you got to kind of scroll a little bit. Yeah. Just click the 5 stars.
You look like a jackass. Like, oh, it could have been better. No, cut dumb. We talked about Johnny Appleseed on the top.
Right.
You're welcome.
Name one other podcast that names Javon Ringer within the first 10 minutes.
Great point.
In all seriousness, my favorite part of that draft kit is the overused running back. As someone who has struggled drafting running backs as of recently, that was a very big help to me this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just used to help predict anything. We can't really predict injuries, but at some point the wheels are going to fall off the cart, and that is a good, tool and set it to show you which running backs could fall off. Obviously, like, it's useful, but at the same time, Derrick Henry's on top, and we're like, he's sort of indestructible.
Well, some people don't think so this year, which is crazy.
No, and that just creates good value to us, which I'm happy with. But let's talk about some of these headlines. Let's talk about another running back that is in the AFC South, still in the AFC South, and that's Jonathan Taylor. He was not traded by the deadline. All kinds of rumors in terms of the asking price and the teams involved and all kinds of stuff. That doesn't really matter. Who the hell really cares? But on top of the news of Jonathan Taylor not getting traded, there's also news that he is put on the PUP list and he is not going to play for sure the first 4 weeks of the season because of his injury, which was real, was not real, and then he is still limping around. So who knows the legitimacy of the injury anyways. I do think he's actually hurt, but who knows? So now the question mark that was Jonathan Taylor also comes with a 4-week kind of suspension, like he's out, and then you have to deal with the bye week as well. So what does that do in terms of value for you guys? Like, is there any chance you take Jonathan Taylor ever?
I don't think so. Like, if everyone's passing on him and like Jonathan Taylor's there in like the 5th, 6th round, then like how can you not take him? But other than that, like, I don't think you want to play that game. I've been saying it all summer. Question marks are red flags in fantasy football. A lot of people like to say that the first 4 weeks of the NFL don't matter. A lot of the first 4 weeks of fantasy football doesn't matter. But when it comes down to it, when you lose a playoff spot by 1 game because you drafted Jonathan Taylor who didn't play the first 4 games, you're really going to be kicking yourself.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head there. Like, in every sport, like especially baseball, people are like, "Oh, they lost the last game of the season." Guess what? The second game of the doubleheader back in July counted just as much.
Right.
Week 1 in fantasy counts just as much as the last week of the season. So, to your point, I'm not touching him until I have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers, and I think that's the bottom because there's no point. He might not hit the field this year. I doubt it. I think he will, but we have no reason to say he will.
But that's a good point because people talk about, there's a group of people who don't draft their running backs early whatsoever because they feel like it's the most injury-prone position in football, which makes sense. It's the position that receives the most contact. So you're saying Jonathan Taylor could get hurt when he comes back, and we already know you're going to be without him for 5 weeks, the 4 weeks that he is on the PUP, and then his bye week. So he's out a minimum 5 weeks, and then he could get hurt on top of it. The Colts offensive line isn't very good. If he's there and is obedient with his team and, like he's fully bought in, then he's going to receive a really big workload because clearly the offense should be built around him and Anthony Richardson. So like he could come back after not working very hard in his rehab because he's not happy and then get hurt immediately. And it's a similar situation to Lamar Jackson last year where could Lamar actually play? Probably. He didn't have to be out as long as he was, but since he, was betting on himself, he needed a new contract. If he got hurt worse and had a career-ending injury, he would have had nothing to show for it. I would assume Jonathan Taylor is going to be in a similar situation. If he receives a boo-boo, a scratch on his leg, anything like that, he's out. So, like, for sure, I'm not taking where he's been going.
Also,
I've started to say, like, when I thought he was going to come back, I started to say, like, late third round, I would start to think about him. And now he's for sure still hands off there.
yeah. Also, like, this is kind of, and Trevor, I think you say it every year. Zach, I know you're in on this boat. I'm in on this boat. Don't draft your leagues until the day before the season starts.
Oh, I love early. I love too early. That's more fun.
Okay, well, I'm with too early because of the chaos. But if you're like draft, I'm
Yes.
not for drafting like right now.
No, yeah, that's fair. Like the final week of the preseason, no reason to draft then. But if you're drafting like a couple of weeks before training camp, I love it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That makes sense. But I'm just trying to figure out then, at what point would you take Jonathan Taylor? Like, I'm scrolling and I'm just trying to find names where I can justify it. I would assume this is still too early for you guys, but would you take him over Alvin Kamara, who also is out for 3 weeks to start the year?
So I was going to bring that up, to be honest, to throw a question back at you. I'm sure there's a strategy that people are going to try to get value in getting Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara this year.
Sure. I mean, the zero RB people could end up with both of them, and if they're both healthy,
and then they win the league.
Play, yeah, that would be great. But a lot of things need to go right.
I think I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over Alvin Kamara.
That's what I was wanting. But I mean, there's names under Alvin Kamara, I think, that we would all take over him, though.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I was just looking at. That's a tough part. Like, it seems weird to talk about Jonathan Taylor in the 6th, but like James Conner in the 6th, we've talked about it. The wheels are going to fall off, but for those first 5-6 weeks, he's going to be incredible. I'm taking him over Jonathan Taylor because he's going to play. You go to round 7 picks, Javonte Williams. I'm taking him. I'm taking Lockett. I'm taking Evans. Probably White. I mean, Montgomery. I mean, I might. I'm probably taking Taylor over Pacheco. Probably maybe over Cook, but we're talking about round 8 right now. So that's like, I think realistically, he's not going to fall to round 8. So I think most people are going to be hands off.
And there's enough people who auto draft, and this is important. There's enough people that auto draft, which means, Jonathan Taylor's still at the top of the draft board because it's sorted by ADP. And because he keeps getting taken by those people who aren't actually drafting, his ADP is going to remain high. So because of that, I think there's zero chance you get him in the 8th round. I think he's gone.
Correct.
Unless you play with a group of experts and everyone's extremely dialed in. And usually there's at least one person, even within that group of experts, who's going to say, fuck it before that.
I mean, it's going to be the same person who takes Patrick Mahomes in the 1st round this year.
Probably. But like, so yeah, 8th round, you could argue it. I still think I like David Montgomery over him. But to your point, like, would I take him over Jahan Dotson or a Marquise Brown? Probably. But there's no shot.
So that just goes to show, like, 2 months ago, he was maybe a 1st round pick. And it's just crazy to see what's happening here in Indianapolis.
For sure. He was healthy. He said he was going to play. He was all bought in. He was for sure a 1st round pick. No question.
Felt like a bounce back year.
For sure.
Well,
for sure. And
this is why I think it's so important to stay up on the news. I mean, it's obvious, but like last night, obviously I'm in a league, if they're watching, I love you, but with people that don't pay attention and aren't very smart with fantasy. And I traded Taylor and Brandon Cooks for Austin Eckler. If it was a veto league, probably should have been vetoed. But like, that's why it pays to pay attention, because I'm sure those people aren't seeing Jonathan Taylor's out 4 weeks for 2-3 days. You got to make a move in those 2-3 days, because if you've already drafted them, either deal them now or you're screwed.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think this is also very important to bring up. Know your league settings. Obviously, that's the number one tip for anybody entering a fantasy football league.
Always, check the rules first before you draft.
If your league has an IR slot, and if they don't, is very, very big when it comes to drafting Jonathan Taylor. Yep. Like, I think, were we all talking about his value with an IR slot probably?
Yes.
Or no? I think so, right?
Yes.
Like, assuming he won't take up an active roster spot because you draft him, you put him on IR, and then you pick up somebody else. So with an IR slot, we're thinking maybe around 8 value, even though we don't think he's even going to fall that far. But if you have to hold on to him on your active roster and he takes up if he's a dead spot on your roster for a minimum of 5 weeks this year, that's hard to justify.
Yeah. The whole thing, right? And yeah, that's a good point, Zach. 5 games. Like he's going to miss 5 games, obviously, with the bye. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Sorry, just talking through it.
Well, and within the first 3 weeks, usually it goes crazy week 1. Usually you see the real big guys in week 2. First 3 weeks, that's when the waiver wires are going crazy. Every year there's probably, I would say, at least 2 players that are huge values that are on the waiver wires. If you're handcuffing yourself because of Jonathan Taylor, I mean, by the time week 6 rolls along, the waiver wires picked over usually.
And just looking at the running back quality starts, boom bust data in our draft kit, obviously Jonathan Taylor wasn't very good last year. We don't even need to talk about that. But just talking about the number of running backs who are actually top 24 week to week and actually startable, like if you have a running back who is startable 2/3 of the weeks, you're doing pretty good.
Agreed.
So again, Jonathan Taylor's out for 5 weeks. That means he has 11 other weeks for fantasy football, and you hope 2/3 of them are usable. So then you take even more games where it's like he shouldn't be in your starting lineup, and he's coming back from injury. He could be slow to start. He could have a higher re-injury probability because of this injury. So I mean, there's just so many things, man. If you don't have an IR slot, I don't know if you can justify taking him pretty much anywhere. I mean, there's a point, obviously, if you're facing Jonathan Taylor or Devin Singletary, you're taking Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
But still, it's tough.
Do you guys have any strong opinion? I'm sorry to
No, you're good.
cut in here. Do you guys have any strong opinions on putting suspended guys in the IR? Should that not happen? Should it happen?
I think it should. Like I don't have a strong opinion, I should say. But
I'm in the same boat.
I'm same with you guys. Either way works for me. I get it either way.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if we want to look at it morally, then maybe more people will dislike him for fantasy football, and then and theoretically they got suspended for something that you shouldn't like them for, you know. So maybe Ace over on Twitch has a question.
Ace Saucy, what up?
Yeah, what's up? Should I trade away Jonathan Taylor for Ramondre Stevenson and Quentin Johnston?
Absolutely. That's not even a question. Do it now.
Yes.
Yeah. Assuming you don't have to drop somebody really good. Like Quentin Johnston part for me is irrelevant.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. If it's dynasty somehow, would you still do that?
Yes.
I'd be a little more hesitant. I would probably not.
Yeah, I would. And you're not going to be able to do this, but I would try to, if it's dynasty, try to see how the year goes with Jonathan Taylor. Of course, if it's a shitty year, you're not going to be able to trade him after the year. But I don't know. Probably not, to be honest. No. But the Quentin Johnston in a redraft league, like everything that he gets is just extra in this trade.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. I think there's very few size leagues where I want to own Quentin Johnston.
Of course.
Yeah.
So like I would try to say, hey, convince the person I don't want Quentin Johnston, and try to sweeten, like give something else that you actually want. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't even know if Quentin Johnston sees a huge bump if like Keenan Allen or Mike Williams gets hurt.
He's the wide receiver 4 with the Chargers.
I mean, plus Gerald Everett.
Yeah. I mean, Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Well, and if you have JT in Dynasty, unless your team is stacked, you're probably not going to win the title anyways. So you might as well tank, sell him high at the start of next year when he's back and with a new team, and then get more from him and get a better draft pick.
Ace Saucy, if you can get a better player than Quentin Johnston, try to do it. If someone wants Jonathan Taylor, if that guy wants Jonathan Taylor really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would be more willing to say no Quentin Johnston, somebody who's a little bit better than Johnston, and then add a player of yours in there that you actually don't want. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like make it a 2 for 2. That's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we said it a couple weeks ago too. Like if it's dynasty, I'm not trading Jonathan Taylor right now.
No.
Like I don't sell low. Can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's too good to sell low right now.
Yeah. Next headline here that I have is I have a few running back news in a row. The next one's the Dallas Cowboys cut Malik Davis, which at its surface,
crazy.
Like it is crazy at the surface. Most people say who cares, but I do think the running back 2 spot behind Tony Pollard's valuable. And at the moment, it's Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle has been performing well in camp. He performed pretty well in the preseason games. The question becomes, if Tony Pollard goes down, do the Cowboys go with Rico Dowdle?
I don't.
And
I don't think so.
At the current state of the NFL, no, because they would sign either Leonard Fournette or Kareem Hunt.
Well, why hasn't Dallas signed Leonard Fournette yet?
I mean, I'm sure he has a high asking price. I'm sure he wants $6 million, which makes no sense at the current moment.
Yeah.
You know? And if I had to really dive into the psyche of Leonard Fournette, I'm going to guess he really did not want to go through training camp.
Correct.
Yeah. So
he only plays for playoffs.
Correct. Yeah. He's not really a training camp guy per se, but yeah. So
what is happening?
You good? Is it another airplane?
I don't know what the fuck is going on right now. They're lighting off fireworks across the street. It is 7 p.m. It is not dark.
That's fair.
All right, sorry.
They're just excited for the Flurry Sports YouTube channel reaching 10,000, and I appreciate it. I think
they must have just saw the draft kit,
and they saw us for free, and they need to celebrate.
They needed to. Like, we need to waste money somewhere. We can't donate it to them. They don't have a Patreon set up.
You know what I'm going to do that I've decided? I'm going to print off the draft kit and put it in people's mailboxes.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do you get free printing at the school?
Yeah.
Just put it in everybody's. Set it home with kids.
Yeah. This is your homework.
Absolutely. Sign up for all the affiliate codes, kids. Please.
Yep.
Are they explaining this in your marketing class? We can teach you about it. But yeah, so Cowboys cut Malik Davis. Rico Dowdle's clearly the RB2. Deuce Vaughn's the RB3. And I think Dowdle needs to be owned. I think even if Pollard's healthy, like he can't get a bell cow role. He cannot have that.
I agree. Yeah, I think Dowdle has a role.
He has to. As much as I dislike Mike McCarthy, as much as I think he's bad at his job when he actually comes down to calling plays and stuff, which he has to do this year, he's not this stupid. Tony Pollard, like I said in a comment, somebody with one of our draft strategy videos just said that how much they like Tony Pollard, didn't like what we said about him. And my exact comment, and I think they understood then, like, I don't question Tony Pollard's skill.
No, great player. Very good player.
Great player. He's a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't be out there, pulling fucking trailers. He can't be out there doing all this shit. Like, he's not some Toyota or something like that. Like, he's a Lamborghini. He's like Odell Beckham Jr. He needs to be used sporadically. He needs to be used in a specialized role, and then he'll thrive. So truly, I don't know how many more yards Tony Pollard's going to get this year, and his touchdowns are probably coming down.
Agreed, 100%.
For sure.
You know what Dallas could use right now is Ezekiel Elliott.
For sure. And I would say both Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette could fill that role.
Mm-hmm. I think people are going to get cute with Deuce Vaughn too, and I don't think anybody listening needs to get cute with Deuce Vaughn. Don't worry about Deuce Vaughn.
No, could he have a role at some point this year? Yeah, but it's never going to be predictable.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, but Rico Dowdle should have a role week to week. I think he is the handcuff to own. He's not a high priority handcuff to me. But if you're in a 14-team league or a 16-team league, like, he's someone that you absolutely need to have on your radar.
Yeah. I don't hate even picking him up in like a 12-man league if you don't have Pollard, like with the last pick. I don't hate that at all. For sure.
Yeah. I'm not having him over somebody who could provide me value right now.
Yep.
But if you're just taking a stab at somebody, absolutely. Yep. And in Dynasty, he's somebody who, entering this offseason probably wasn't owned in your Dynasty league. Definitely go check it out if he's still unowned somehow.
Yeah, grab him if he's unowned.
Yeah. Another running back news, somebody who I cannot believe is no longer in Miami. I think it was a good couple decades there for him. But Myles Gaskin got cut. And the news is not that he got cut, really. It's that he signs with the Vikings. So now that Vikings backfield basically is Alexander Mattison. I do think Ty Chandler is still the RB2, at least to start. And then it's Myles Gaskin. And I that's another spot where I feel like I don't know if the Vikings can give Alexander Mattison all he can handle, because I don't think he can handle a full workload.
Right. The signing to me is it's really interesting, right? Because, you get rid of Dalvin Cook. How are you going to make up those carries? Like, Myles Gaskin is not going to make up all of Dalvin Cook's carries, but there's a reason the Vikings signed it. Like, I think he has a role on this team, right?
I just don't know how big the role is. Like I see
agree
everyone
with that, Trevor.
talking. He's one of the biggest pickups. Has he done anything to tell the Vikings that they should start him over Ty Chandler? Like, I'm not saying Ty Chandler is a superstar, but they invested in him. They like him. They cut who'd they cut for a reason? Running back Dwayne McBride, I think.
Yeah.
Cut him and kept Chandler for a reason. I don't think that was ever a question, but like Ty Chandler is going to start at the 2, and the last time Myles Gaskin showed flashes was what, 2020, 2019 of like
20 years ago
fantasy asset. So I don't know.
I think Madison's good. It's just that entering this offseason is like, okay, you're getting all the RB1 snaps. Here we go. And he's hurt. And then, other people filled in right away. So I mean, that's not going to give the coaching staff confidence that, once he's back healthy, then we can give him all of the RB1 stuff.
Yeah. Just to talk this out. So you don't project Alexander Mattison having like the Dalvin Cook role before Alexander Mattison?
No, I don't see a way they can do it.
Yeah.
Given just him.
I agree.
Where do I have him ranked currently? I think I'm going to bring him down a little bit. I think I have him too high, but I have Alexander Mattison at 17. I think I prefer Miles Sanders to him.
Yep.
I think I prefer Javonte Williams to him. Sure. I haven't updated the rankings since the cuts. I like Javonte Williams after the Broncos cuts.
Yep.
But
I'll give you a sure.
I think I like Madison more than Kenneth Walker. I really don't trust Kenneth Walker.
No, I don't trust Seattle at all this year, I don't think.
I trust Geno.
Fair. Okay, yes. Yeah.
But like that offense, I just feel like it's going to be so spread out.
Yep. That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I like Madison. I think can be a serviceable RB2 for most weeks. But I don't know if he's going to stay healthy though.
I feel comfortable with having him as a flex.
Yeah, I think he's a fine flex. I think that's okay. But yeah, I wouldn't expect a bell cow roll. To your point, I wouldn't expect the Dalvin Cook role to just slide to Madison. That just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And people kind of forget how good Dalvin Cook is too.
Right. And Madison not getting that full Dalvin Cook role, that kind of intrigues me a little bit for Myles Gaskin.
For sure. Myles Gaskin or Ty Chandler, whoever they end up settling on. I think Gaskin's better than Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
But
agreed.
I mean, we'll see. The whole offense is kind of confusing because like Jefferson's role is not going to grow. His role is already as big as it can be.
Yep.
So you get rid of Dalvin Cook, massive role. You get rid of Adam Thielen, massive role. And it sounds like KJ Osborne's the wide receiver 2, which people aren't saying. And then you got Jordan Addison, who I think is good, but I don't think he's the RB or the wide receiver 2 right away. And then you have a running back who can't fill the running back's role previously. So I don't know. Like the Vikings offense is going to take a step back. It has to. But I don't know how much, I guess. Something to keep an eye on. Let's talk about the Broncos. I just alluded to it a little bit. The Broncos made some interesting moves at roster cuts. They kind of just said, fuck it. We don't need to pass the football this year, it feels like. They ended up cutting.
How shitty their quarterback is.
I mean, at this point, possibly. The Broncos cut little Jordan Humphrey and Marquez Callaway. The Callaway one was even more surprising, I thought, just because of the Sean Payton tie.
Yeah, Sean Payton likes his guys.
Yeah, they signed Philip Dorsett, who I've always been a fan of. I think he's relevant when Jerry Jeudy's out. But even still, they only have 5 wide receivers, including Dorsett, including Jerry Jeudy. So their starters really quick are Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, the rookie Marvin Mims. Then it's Philip Dorsett, who just joined the team today, and Brandon Johnson, who could be literally any person I run into at a Quick Trip. I don't know who he is.
And I was just going to say on top of that, of not passing the ball, like they just released Albert O too.
Traded him.
Right. They don't have him anymore.
But he wasn't in the plans. But still, I mean, what's the takeaway from all of this? Just look at the roster construction. Like they have 4 tight ends, and we've talked about it. I know how much they love Adam Troutman. Greg Dulcich is a great player. Manhurts is another blocker like Troutman, but Troutman can, do some stuff. They have a fullback, and then they also have Williams, P. Ryan, and then Jaleel McLaughlin. So
I think just
they're
having
going to
a
run the
fullback,
ball.
just having a fullback indicates that the team is going to run the ball.
Probably. Right. And it's not a fake fullback like Green Bay's depth chart and stuff like that too. It's a real fullback. They're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, especially early out of necessity. And I think it means good things for Javonte Williams. I think it means fine things for Samaje Perine. And like, I know Courtland Sutton can block, and I think he's a good receiver. I think he might be a little bit underrated. So this offense as a whole, man, I think Sean Payton truly in his mind is just like, all they needed last year was 17 points. Let's shoot for 18. Like, that's his number. If he can get 18 points this year, that's a win. And for most people, that's terrible. But that's what I feel like this offense is going to be. Let's make the games ugly. Let's get to 18 points. The defense will do its thing.
Yeah.
Which will probably lead to wins, but it doesn't inspire a lot of fantasy confidence other than maybe those running backs.
Go ahead, Trevor.
I was just going to say real quick, speaking of Alberto, I'm off the Alberto bandwagon because he took Dan Arnold's roster spot. So.
Did he get cut, Arnold?
He did. They kept Jack Stoll over him.
Crazy.
Journeyman, so to speak. Where's he going to end up next? It's like
True.
Carmen Sandiego. Where are you going to find her? I don't know.
Packers cut a tight end. Bring him home.
Right.
Bring him home. I mean, I can't imagine how many jerseys of his you would buy. Just every color possible.
Fucking many. I'd do a half and half with the Plavel jersey.
So, cool. just to stay on the Broncos here, obviously there's a lot of news surrounding them, right? That's what we're talking about here. At this point in fantasy drafts, is there anyone that you guys like are really going out of your way that you want on this Broncos team?
Javonte Williams.
Yeah. The thing about Javonte Williams, and I've disagreed with you guys about the Broncos for ad nauseum. Where he's going is crazy for a starting running back to be going. That's why I'm on Javonte Williams.
But even still, like, I'm not sure if you have to go out of your way to get anybody on this team.
Right. People are off of Denver. I think a lot of people like me.
Jerry Jeudy's the only one going early. You can wait on quarterback forever and grab Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Or the tight ends, Samaje Perine's going pretty late. Marvin Mims is going pretty much undrafted. Courtland Sutton will fall to you. So I still think Denver can be pretty good this year. I know, Luke, you disagree. Even with this, I think they can be pretty good. It's a little scary right now, but I do think they could be okay. Like, I don't think Russell Wilson's as bad as he's shown. I do think he's not comfortable in this offense yet. I mean, we've seen it in the preseason. He's not comfortable, but we'll
also, when they played the Giants week 1 in the preseason, right? I think Wink Martindale blitz every single play on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and people are like, oh, Broncos are done.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Fucking, I love it, but what are we trying to accomplish right now? Whatever. But that defense, though, if you're a betting man or woman, that Broncos defense is good. They're very good. And I don't know why they are still slept on. It makes no sense.
They just don't have any big names.
I guess. Where do you think they're ranked in terms of ADP for defenses?
I would guess they're not higher than the 10th defense going off the board.
Okay. Trevor?
Well, I've done 1,000 mock drafts, and I always take the Broncos, so I can't really answer. But them and the Steelers are completely slept on this year. I still don't understand why the Steelers are so low, especially looking at the start of their season. I mean, that might be easier than Denver's.
In terms of fantasy data, at least, the Steelers are going 8th. The Broncos are going 13th. For most leagues, you can take them after the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on Sleeper right now, it has Steelers at 10th, Broncos at 12th.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They have the best cornerback in football. They have good pass rushers. They have a good secondary overall. A couple good linebackers. I don't know. They're going to be good.
You think PS2 is the best corner?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's particularly close.
Yeah,
right now.
I can see that.
I think there's some good corners, but I like Sauce. He might be top 5. He still has to prove it to me. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I like my guy Jair too.
Well, I mean, if he's healthy, I'm going Stokes. He's got that dog in him. So
Interesting.
That was sarcasm, by the way, for anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
Luke, it took you a little bit. I saw your face.
I was trying to think of who the fuck Stokes are you talking about? Can't be Eric Stokes.
That's a good point. It couldn't be, but it was. Other Broncos news really quick. So 5 wide receivers on roster, 4 tight ends, 3 running backs, and a fullback. The other news is that Jerry Jeudy won't go on short-term IR, which means he theoretically should be back within the first 4 weeks. I don't think it'll be week 1. I think week 2 could be pushing it. I would expect a week 3 return, but week 2 or 3 feels right to me.
I'm probably overthinking this, but do you think there's any, based on the performance of week 1, they're going to bring Jerry Jeudy back week 2 or anything like that? Probably not, right?
No, too long of a season with already two massive injuries to the wide receiver core. They can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, week 1 is Vegas. Week 2 is Washington. I mean, I'm not saying they should be cooking them, but week 3 is Miami on the road. I'd much rather have them coming back fresh from Miami than help them, beat Washington by an extra 7 points.
And I mean, listening to that schedule too, it just to double down, it makes no sense why the Broncos are going that late in drafts. It makes no sense. Other news, again, I'll start with, before I get to the rest of these injury stuff, we got Joe Burrow's back at practice. It made me confused the number of times on the show, even people in the chat have asked if Joe Burrow's going to be back week 1. And then I've seen people on Twitter being really confused.
Was it ever a
I didn't think it was ever a question, but I suppose that injury looked so bad.
Yeah.
It looked like a Achilles tear at first, not once he actually held his foot, but at first. So I suppose just how devastating it looked. Maybe that's why people were concerned. But I mean, now truly you're drafting him as if he's 100% healthy, in my opinion.
Yep. You shouldn't be scared off of Joe Burrow. He's still a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, he's fine. He hasn't really missed time either. He's been there. So,
Well, he's back in we still have 10 days till the season starts. I mean,
right.
In the NFL, I mean, that's a whole bye week and a half. That's easily coming back.
And everything's the same in Cincinnati, really, for the most part. So,
they're on a Super Bowl run here. They're gonna.
And again, like I said it before too, this is basically when he came back last year. He might have came back even a little bit later after his appendicitis.
And right, and the thing too, they just released Trevor Siemian too, so they know what they're doing at quarterback. It's all good at quarterback in Cincinnati.
You don't get rid of Trevor Siemian if you're scared. So we know that. We saw what the Saints did. They held on to him for dear life.
That's the old NFL adage.
Everyone knows it. Other news, Keontae Ingram, in my opinion, is locked in as the RB2 for the Cardinals at the current moment. They cut Corey Clement. I believe they cut Tyson Williams too.
Big shocker.
I know, crazy. But I mean, we talked about James Conner is going to see a big workload. The wheels are going to fall off this season probably at some point. So the RB2 becomes valuable. And at the current moment, it looks to be second year running back Keontae Ingram, who is okay. I don't think he can be a 20-touch guy, but I was
going to ask, I want to get you guys' opinion on this because it seems like the Keontae Ingram, I don't want to say the hype is beginning, but it's getting fondled a little bit here. What value does it bring if James Conner gets hurt? Are you how does that even mean anything if Keontae Ingram's starting games for the Cardinals?
I think he could be a flex.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean,
I was going to say the same thing. He's nothing more than a flex to me.
I mean, treat him as if, here's a name you probably haven't thought of for a while. Treat him as if he were Andre Ellington.
Hell yeah.
That's who he is for me. I think he can catch some passes. He can run. I don't trust him to score a touchdown.
No, not at all. Andre Ellington, by the way, legend in Madden Mobile. 94 overall, Andre Ellington.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Hot take. Do not like Andre Ellington. Something about his name just pisses me off.
Loved him. I'm always infatuated with the RB2 in Arizona forever. I don't know why.
Zach, I've rode Chase Edmonds the last 3 years.
Chase Edmonds, and there's another one in there at one point. I think Darrell Williams was there last year. It was kind of interesting. There's somebody else, though, Who was it last year that I was really high on?
Oh, a couple years ago was Eno Benjamin.
Eno Benjamin, and he got hurt this offseason, preseason too.
Tim Hightower.
I still think Eno Benjamin is a good
Hightower.
player.
He is. He's just always hurt.
Is he on a roster?
No, I think he got cut. I think he's got a season-ending injury.
You're right.
From the Saints or something. Who's going to get Colt McCoy? Whoever Colt McCoy fucking wants.
Green Bay.
Dude, he needs to go back to Texas in some capacity. Can you imagine if Colt McCoy leads a comeback with the fucking Cowboys? How much
does he have any eligibility yet? Can you go back to the Longhorns?
Why is Colt McCoy not the quarterback's coach for Arch Manning right now?
I mean, because he's getting millions of dollars to babysit Kyler Murray at the moment. You know who is probably getting Colt McCoy? Probably the Patriots is Fair. What I heard.
Fair.
Which, great.
That's
awesome.
Let's get Malik Cunningham on our roster while we're at it.
He's on. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of football 101 here. Bill Belichick's a fucking genius, dude. So because of this new quarterback rule, you can put them on practice squad and you can elevate them on game day and they don't take up the active roster spot. That's what this QB3 rule is.
Yep.
Malik Cunningham, we saw at the end of the preseason how much he was used as a wide receiver. He will not take a snap at quarterback, probably.
No.
But he's going to keep getting activated as a quarterback.
Yep.
He's going to do all of these things.
Does
it make the Patriots better? No. But it's a great loophole.
It's the Taysom Hill when you started him at tight end when he was playing quarterback.
I just love a loophole, and I know Bill Belichick loves a loophole.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Let's get Malik Cunningham on the field.
He will.
Yep.
Week 1, he might take the first snap at quarterback. Maybe he will play quarterback. Take the very first snap at quarterback. Never again.
It would be very funny for Bill Belichick. Anytime he elevates him, just have him take a snap at the end of the game to kneel it and say, "See, use him as a quarterback."
Right.
He probably
use him as a receiver the entire game, and then just the last snap as a quarterback.
Yeah. At some point, they probably have to justify it, but it won't be for a while. Will the Cardinals get the first pick in the draft? Yeah.
They might get the top 2 picks.
They'll get the first pick if they don't get it taken away from the NFL because of all this shit that's going on with their Steve Keim and stuff.
Burner phones is a wild thing to be having in the NFL.
I thought this is another thing. I thought that was already known. I thought everybody knew that. Mm-hmm. That was like, okay. I swear to God, it was like deja vu. Like I thought everybody knew this thing already.
Zach, okay. I feel like I read an article on it like 4 months ago.
I thought people knew while it was happening.
Yeah.
I thought everyone knew that.
Right.
But whatever. But yeah, Cardinals, there's a chance to get number 1 and number 2 next year, which would be crazy.
Dude, they're going to come away with Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, and that whole fucking franchise is going to be revitalized.
Caleb Williams, Drake May. Go get 2.
Okay, I'm with that.
Get 2, figure it out.
I'm with that. Real quarterback competition.
Trade Kyler Murray for a late first round. Grab Bo Nix.
Yep.
Do whatever you got to do. I like it. Other news. I also wrote, like, watch for one of the cut running backs to go to Arizona just to see, like, could that be the Malik Davis landing spot, something like that. Jelani Woods is on IR with a hamstring injury, so out at least 4 weeks. Tyquan Thornton's out at least 4 weeks on IR with a shoulder injury.
Can we talk about Jelani Woods for a second?
Sure.
Are you guys valuing any other Indianapolis tight ends now that he's gone, or are you valuing any more Indianapolis pass catchers at all, or anything now that Jelani Woods is out?
I mean, they do only have 3 wide receivers on the roster, but I still don't care about them that much. I don't think they pass it enough to support 2-3 wide receivers.
I think I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Mo Alley Cox will score a touchdown week 1. Yeah. I think we can pretty much guarantee it.
Let's get Trey Burton back on the team.
Maybe. Trey Burton, Eric Ebron, where is he at? Kylan Granson's still supposedly a thing. He hasn't done anything yet. But yeah, Colts are going to be interesting week 1 because is the RB1 on the team right now? We don't know. Because Zach Moss might be back.
Anthony Richardson might run for like 200 yards week 1.
Maybe what they should do is put Gardner Minshew to catch snaps and put Anthony Richardson to the side of him.
Yep.
That could be interesting because you could pitch it to him and have him throw it.
Mm-hmm. That'd be fun.
A strategy we haven't seen.
It'd be very fun.
It would be fun. But yeah, Jelani Woods, even when Jelani Woods is back, I'm still, I'm hesitant. Like, I'm not feeling good about starting him this year, but I like him for Dynasty.
Yeah. Jelani Woods is probably going to end up being a guy that because I'm not going to draft a tight end early, is going to be a guy that I pick up week 6.
But I mean, I say this, like the Jelani Woods and the Tyquan Thornton information, a lot of people were just put on PUP or on IR. So in Dynasty, you might have a free roster spot because you can put him in IR. For redraft leagues, you might be able to draft Jelani Woods and put him on IR right away too.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not need to pick him up week 6. You can just pick him up right away.
Okay. Got it.
Who knows? But I mean, the thing with him and Thornton, I suppose, when week 5 comes around, he's activated. Are you starting him?
No.
Of course. Like,
no.
For sure, those guys you have to prove it first, guys.
Yep.
But maybe you have a roster spot. Who knows? Or
excuse me.
Ooh, Luke's excited. Anything else? That was the only news I have. I think there's going to be a lot more roster movement over the next several days. I suppose the only other thing, if you're in a dynasty league with kickers, check to see what's up.
Kickers are going wild.
Yeah, a lot of kicker movement. You may have a kicker on your team who's not on an NFL team. There's starting kickers on waivers that are just out there on good teams. Like Brandon Aubrey, USFL kicker, shout out, former MLS soccer player, played in the highest league in the world. He's the Dallas Cowboys kicker. That's a very good.
They're going to score.
Yeah. Well, they also settle for field goals.
Right, all the time.
That the Patriots have a rookie kicker. The Titans now have Nick Folk. A lot of stuff.
Lutz the Packers is now have a Carlson.
They do. They do have a Carlson. Be careful when you draft your Carlson kicker this year that you don't grab the wrong one. Especially if you're in a live draft and you have to find the sticker. Be careful.
Yeah, I had a buddy who he wanted Kelvin Benjamin when he was good that one year with Cam Newton. And my buddy goes, okay, I'll trade you for him. And he traded him Travis Benjamin. Guy didn't double check.
Nice.
Yeah.
Scummy, but it's funny.
Huge, but it's great.
Before we get out of here, Randy wants to know your thoughts on bananas.
Hate the fruit, love the flavor in candies and ice cream and yogurt.
I like them all, I suppose.
I like them all. Very underrated crepe flavor. Banana chocolate crepes.
Okay.
Too mushy for me. The fruit.
Shout out to the street vendors in Palm Springs, man. Love you guys every Thursday night. Keep doing God's work out there.
Every Thursday, if you're in Palm Springs, figure it out. What pies are underrated?
Cream.
I think pot pies are underrated. Good kid, Luke.
Grow up. Way too long to understand.
Chicken pot pies. I agree, Zach.
I'm gonna say
You're
all
so
pies
happy to say that
because it's clearly better than cake.
You don't know how long I've been waiting for you to ask that question. I've had cream in my head since Randy answered it.
Ask it.
Yeah.
Almost interrupted me with it.
I'll say I think pumpkin pies are underrated because I feel like they should be eaten year round, but maybe they're only good because they're just a seasonal thing. I don't know.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't think so. I love pumpkin pie.
I do too.
Around. Yeah. And by the way, most pumpkin pies aren't made of pumpkin, so you don't even need to.
Why did you tell me that?
I like to break hearts. That's why.
What is it made out of?
Squash. Like if you look at canned pumpkin, a lot of canned pumpkins just squash.
But pumpkin and squash are the same thing.
Pretty much, except for pumpkin tastes like shit, and squash doesn't.
Fair.
Which is why they use squash.
Fair.
Because I've made a regular pumpkin pie before, and with pumpkin, bad.
Yeah, the pumpkin pie Blizzard from Dairy Queen is very good.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good. I would say that would. I'm not really a DQ Blizzard guy, but that's the one I would go for. You fallen off?
I used to love Blizzards, and now I can't even finish a mini one anymore.
I like that, and I think McFlurries are overrated for me too. I don't need a McFlurry.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
McFlurries
are great, but they're too expensive now. Way too expensive.
Like I love concrete mixers.
Yes.
From Culver's, but like McFlurries are like watery. It's weird.
Do you guys like chocolate ice cream?
No.
Okay,
we've had this conversation. Not really.
Chocolate custard is the worst kind of custard.
An Oreo Blizzard with chocolate ice cream is incredible.
It's
really
disgusting.
It feels like too much.
It is if you don't like chocolate.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. If you could have any food in the world right now, what would it be?
Ooh.
And Stu, Carson Wentz to Devontae Parker is inevitable.
Shout out, Stu. What up, brother?
I mean, it does feel that way, doesn't it?
Luke, do you have a type of pie in your mind that for this one or no?
If you could have anything.
No, I'm kidding. My favorite food I could have right now if I wanted it.
Banana chocolate crepes from the Palm Springs Market on Thursday nights. Okay. Be there.
Okay. Like, it's really hard for me to say, like, anytime anyone asks me what food I want right now, it's really hard for me not to say pepperoni pizza, but
yeah.
Calamari?
Is that
a good answer?
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, mine was either like sushi or like some like Korean, like Hmong pork belly.
Interesting.
Probably. Love it.
I had listen to this. So I went out for lunch today. I had a inside out grilled cheese.
Interesting.
It was bacon, avocado, and tomatoes, 2 pieces of toast, and the cheese was on the outside. It's very good.
Was the bread actually like toasted on the inside, or was it just like mushy?
Nope, it was like a toasted grilled cheese.
Okay.
Grilled cheese is probably my favorite sandwich too.
It's a solid sandwich.
Yeah,
it's a solid sandwich. It never misses, I guess.
Correct.
I will say Taco Bell has like that grilled cheese burrito.
Oh, which so good.
It's okay. I've never met a more inept Taco Bell than the one in Holman, Wisconsin, on I believe Hale Drive, shouting you out. They don't know how to fold burritos. That's how bad this Taco Bell is.
Tough.
It's a square, and it's not fully folded. Like, nothing about it. I got the breakfast crunch wraps, and they don't know how to do that. They fold those into burritos. It makes no fucking sense. And everything, I've gone there maybe 8 times now since I've lived here. I promise you, there has never been one order that's correct. Not one. It's incredible. They advertise all this coffee stuff. There's Cinnabon coffee on the thing. They don't even have a coffee machine. They don't even have it there.
You know what? While we're on the topic, also fuck McDonald's, man. I was like, you know what? They always fuck up orders, so I'm going to make it the easiest thing ever. I've never had a Big Mac before. Big Mac, medium fries. We're done. Call it. It can't get harder than this. I take home the bag, and I'm like, this feels a little light, but like, you know what? Hey, I got to go. I'm hungry. I open up the bag. They give me a quarter pounder. How do you miss the difference between a big, like, just read it for 2 seconds, man.
To be fair, the quarter pounder is a better sandwich than a Big Mac.
I think so too. I think they did you a favor.
Well, like, I'm trying to try it for once.
Yeah, right.
They're sending me signs.
Also, I'll end this fast food conversation. Stoof Curry's right about cheese gordita crunch. That's the best fast food item to ever exist. But Zach, if you want a more inept Taco Bell, go to the one in La Crosse on West Ave. Right.
I'll try it. I invite any Taco Bell to stand up to the challenge and see if you are worse. Because
that one
gets worse.
Do a video of you, please.
I mean, I'm telling you. So I like Taco Bell's breakfast. This breakfast one too. I went. They only serve breakfast from 10 to 11, and usually not near 11. I went at 10:30, and they were surprised and angry that I ordered breakfast. like they just opened. I feel like I'm getting gaslighted every time I'm there. It's incredible. It's a fun experience. It's really fun, but it's never satisfying.
So, last question before we go. I figure we should probably end on fantasy football too. Young Bars 20, 2 quarterback, 10-man auction results. Herbert, J.K., Damian Pierce, Waddle, Olave, Ridley, Amari, Deshaun Watson. Boy, are you thin at running back. You got to trade one of those wide receivers for running back, because J.K. Dobbins, even if he holds up, J.K. and Damian Pierce aren't good enough. But you did give yourself a chance to trade for a good running back, in my opinion.
Well, that has to be just the starting lineup, right?
Correct.
Which is even worse if J.K. Dobbins is starting running back.
I don't think that's terrible.
My only worry about this team is you don't have any superstars on your team.
That's fair. That's fair. And I'm lower on Olave than most people. I'm a little lower on Waddle than most people. I think I'm a little lower on Ridley than most people. So you have a lot of people that, like, I'm just a little bit lower on, which is hard. But I mean, there's a little legitimate chance he has good depth at running back. It's just not the star value.
Right.
Like if he has Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, something like that, like he might be starting these guys over him, which I probably wouldn't. And at that point, then I think the draft is okay.
I'll tell you what, as long as you used all your auction dollars, I have no problem with you.
Fair.
Yeah, everyone in an
Fair.
auction league, use all your money.
Yeah, you can't take it home.
Yep.
It's not going to help you. Stu says double cheesy jalapeno quarter pounder with cheese. Is that a thing?
I've never even
It's
heard
a
of that.
thing.
It is a thing, you said?
It's a new thing. They have some ads for it. I don't think they actually carry them though, because it's McDonald's, you know.
Fair. I mean, I'm open to it as long as it's not like cheesy jalapeno. I don't want cheese sauce on it.
Like, yeah.
I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just
Okay.
like double the cheese.
Okay, that's fine. Who has the most sacks this year?
TJ Watt.
That's
I'm
pretty
going
safe.
with Nick Bosa after he signs.
Interesting. I mean, my vote would probably be TJ Watt, but I have to be different. So I'll go with JJ and Ikbari.
Can I
Hell
change
yeah.
mine?
Sure. Can I change
Hayden
it?
Smith from the Jets.
Okay. I mean, from the Jets is tough because he is certainly homeless at this point. He has no shot. How are the wraps from Burger King? Did not know they had wraps.
Me either.
I don't think they do. I think he's gaslighting us.
Randy. Oh, Randy, you son of a bitch. I mean, if they're a thing, you tell us, Randy. You go get it from your local establishment and you let us know tomorrow because we'll be back same time tomorrow talking about fantasy football. And if you want to hang out in the chat with us the rest of the night too, we'll be back in about 10 minutes with Lombardi Sweep, which is a Green Bay Packers show. Randy, race to your fucking Burger King between shows right now and you let us know. Or at least let us know what kinds they are at the next show. I will be very excited to know. But yeah, so we'll be back with Lombardi Sweep in a couple minutes. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please subscribe. Please review the podcast. And also go and listen to Lombardi Sweep, our Green Bay Packers podcast, which will be live in a couple minutes.